10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Discussing everything about the afterlife and spirit world. Coming to you all the way from Ireland. It's Sandie Byrne.
Hey guys, and welcome to Tipperary for another episode of Life After Life. And I'm also simultaneously live on TikTok. So if anybody wants to join in live on TikTok, so we should be able to get lots of questions, and I'll try not to stay live for as long as I did last week. I'm sure people were sick of listening to my voice. So I'm Sandie, and it's lovely to have so many people join in. I see people on TikTok are dying to get questions answered. So I may do some at the end if I have some time. But first, I like to discuss some topics and, make people understand why we would do readings and why connect. And that's going to be our topic of conversation for tonight. Okay. So first of all, I am a psychic medium. Okay. So that means that I do both psychic and medium readings. Okay. So the difference between a psychic and a medium. Okay. Does anybody understand that? Or some people may always feel that they are actually the same thing. They're not. Okay. So they're quite different, in fact. So think of it in the most simple terms. A psychic is someone who reads the energy of the living, and a medium is someone who reads the energy of the dead. Okay, so what that means is that a psychic would read you. It reads the energy of someone who's living here on earth. They read you, what's going on in life, what's coming up in the future. So in the past, it would have been called maybe fortune telling. So we don't tend to use the term fortune telling anymore, because if we tell somebody that we're telling their fortune, they think that they have no control over how it happens. So we tend to use the word psychic more so. Hey Helen's just saying hello to me on Podbean. Welcome. What was I going to say? Yeah. So when you get a psychic reading, it gives you the power to change what's coming up. Okay, so if I was to say to you that you were going to fall downstairs and break both your ankles, for example, in maybe November, well, that's definitely something that you could change. You would avoid staircases. If you were to go upstairs, you'd hold on to the banister really, really tightly. Okay, once you know that something is coming up, you can surely change it. Okay, so a psychic reading gives you power over your life, and it lets you choose your path. So if, that's just one thing that would be happening to you falling down the stairs. But if I was to say to you that you're going to marry the person you're with, or you're not going to marry the person you're with, or, you were going to, I don't know, move to Timbuktu. Okay, so all those things are things that you can change. Okay, once you know what path you're on, if you don't like it, you can take a detour. The mediumship then is quite different. A medium just connects with people who've passed. And I always say just, and it's not necessarily a simple thing, okay, to connect with someone who's died, but that's what mediums do. They don't tell you your future, okay? They don't draw out a life plan for you or anything like that. It is just talking to people that have died. Now, if you have loved ones in spirit, and they weren't psychic before they died, they don't become psychic just because they've died, okay? They don't always know what's coming up for you. So they can give you their advice on what's going on around you and what decisions you're making, but they can't tell you if it's the right or the wrong decision for you, because they don't have a clear path of your life either. They're also not doctors or nurses. Well, unless they were doctors or nurses when they were alive, they haven't become doctors or nurses, so they won't be prognosing or diagnosing anything. Okay, so we talk to them. A mediumship reading is like having a cup of tea and a slice of tart with your loved one. You're sitting down, you're shooting the breeze. First of all, you talk about some memories, and then they'll give you some evidence to prove that they haven't died. So they'll talk about a lot of stuff that's been going on in life since they passed. And then they might give you their opinion on stuff. They might look for your opinion. They might ask you how you are. You have a little conversation or a little message. Okay. So that's the difference between a psychic and a medium. Okay. And I hope that makes sense to you. So you would really seek them out for very different things. And personally, and you can mix readings as much as you like. Personally, I don't necessarily like to mix the reading. Well, first of all, it makes me sick because you're changing from one energy, a psychic energy, straight over to a mediumship energy or vice versa. And it kills my energy. They're at very different levels. Okay. So it really kills my energy. And also, I think if you're mixing both in one reading, my earphone is falling out. If you're mixing both in one reading, you're not going to get either one or the other either, okay? Because you want to have a good conversation with your loved ones in spirit. You really do. You want to give them time to come through. But if you're rushing them or cutting them off just because, um, just because you want to ask a few questions about who you're dating or whatever. I mean, I always feel that it's rude, to be fair, okay? Because it does take a lot for them to come through as well. Okay? So, yeah, so that's the difference between the two. So what I wanted to discuss tonight with y'all is why do people get readings? Why would you ever go to look for a reading? Okay? I mean, people go time and time and time again. And I always advise against becoming emotionally dependent on readings. Okay. I wouldn't be advising someone to go every 4 or 6 or 9 months for a reading. Okay. I think it's, a twice to 3 times in a lifetime, maybe. But why do you go? Okay. So I've got 8 reasons here. Okay. And it's a document you can download from my website if you want to. But I've put down 8 reasons why I think that people would visit a psychic or a medium. Okay, so the first one I've put down here is to identify your blocks. Now, I don't get at all insulted by saying this, but people only come to see me when something's wrong. Either they've lost somebody through death, or maybe they've lost a job, they've come out of a relationship, they're worried about getting thrown out of their house. Maybe they've got a legal issue going on. Okay, so people are always worried about something when they come to see me. I don't take it personally. Okay, I know that that's what I'm here for. But the first thing we have to do with somebody in a reading is identify what's holding them back. And I do that by reading their energy, Well, first of all, I'll know if they're here for mediumship or for psychic work. Okay, so I'll have an inkling. Is it something personal or is it a loss? But especially with the psychic readings, it's really important for me and for any of you who have been, and I know there's people online here who have been to me for readings before. The first thing that I do is a quick spread to read you. Okay, to read where you stand, what's going on for you emotionally. It's hugely important for any psychic or medium to connect with who they're reading for first. I don't ever want to read for somebody that's not going to be able to take what I say to them. Okay. So I don't want to push anybody. If somebody's teetering on an edge of life, I never want to be the one to push them over it. So it's really important that the first thing I do with anybody is, even if I'm reading you mediumistically, the first thing I'll be doing is reading you psychically, because I want to know, are you able to connect with the person that we're going to connect with today? Are you going to be able to take what's going on? Like, I recently read for a mother who lost her 8-year-old child. Like, that's something I needed to know before I actually connected with that child. Is this something that this mother is ready for? Okay, because if she needs to deal with the grief first, well, then I need to tell her. So these are the blocks that I'm looking to identify with somebody. And I might say to somebody, look, I might even be doing that over the phone when you're booking. And I might say to somebody, look, I think it's too soon. Or I think maybe you should have some sessions with a bereavement or a grief counselor or something like this. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is identify what's holding you back. Okay. My motto is that I help people move past grief and confusion. Okay. But I don't want to intensify your grief or confusion by giving you a reading that you're not ready to receive. So the first thing is identifying those blocks that are holding you back in life. Okay. Hugely, hugely important, guys. The second thing we need to do is to gain clarity and release those blocks. Okay. What has caused this block? And we know we're all human. We know that a lot of people hold on to a lot of stuff from their childhood. Okay. Maybe they were raised by, I don't know, maybe they were raised by a single parent family. I was. Maybe they were, maybe there was a lot of maybe drunkenness or addiction in the family. Maybe the family didn't have any money. Maybe somebody wasn't able to finish education because of the family's poor financial situation. Okay. So all these things affect how we deal with life as we grow into adulthood. And these are things that we need to deal with in a reading. Okay. Don't worry, I make it sound very complicated perhaps at times, but we do look at the future, but we also need to look at what you need to change about your current habits that's going to empower you going forward to what we'll call your new life. Because people come to me when they want a change of direction, a change of path. Okay. And this is one of the things that I try to do. Okay. Reconnect with your true self. Okay. Who are you? Now, I can use myself perhaps as maybe an example of this one. I had loss in my life as a teenager. Okay. Within the space of 10 weeks, I lost my granddad, who was my father figure, my beloved granddad, I always call him. And then another relative, Kevin, that I talk about very regularly, was killed off a motorbike just 10 weeks later. He was just 31 years old. So we lost those two key figures in my life within the space of 10 weeks. And that changed everything about who I am versus who I was before that summer. Okay. So, you know, for somebody like me, if I was going to somebody else for a reading, and I found that everything was going wrong in my life, they would look back and they'd look at the cards and they'd identify, why have I got this block? Why do I not like to get close to people? And believe me, I spent years not getting close to anybody at all. Okay. Because at that point, I thought that everybody that I loved was going to leave. Okay. So, very, very difficult thing for a young teenage girl to deal with. And it took me a long time to get past that. But these are things that people hold on to forever. And, you know, it's important for that we get some level of understanding to as to what we've been through. And even as I was in adulthood, I'll always remember, because I must have been maybe in my late 20s when I actually revisited all that grief, because my granddad had passed first. He had cancer and he was sick for several months. So we were expecting him to go, although he was only 70 years old. And then obviously very shortly after that, Kevin was killed off the motorbike. And we grieved so hard for Kevin at the time that he died, because, anybody who's lost anybody to illness or cancer, we do always say afterwards, at least they're not in pain anymore. At least they're not suffering anymore. Okay. And we all say it. There's no ifs, buts, or two ways about it. Okay. We all say it. So we grieved so hard for the sudden loss of him that when I was in my 20s, I actually had to deal with the grief that I never dealt with after my granddad's passing. So, if you don't deal with it at the time, this is something that you will have to deal with at some point in your life. And you can't keep pushing it down forever and pretending that it doesn't exist, okay? Because if you do, then you're not being your true self. Okay. I like to think I'm a very loving person, but for a long time I wasn't. I didn't want to get close to anybody. I promised myself I'd never get into a relationship or I'd never get married, pushed everyone away. I did, of course, eventually, met the right person and whatnot. But, it took me a long time to reconnect with the person that I'm supposed to be. And that's another reason why people would, in fact, have a reading, be it a mediumship reading to help you deal with grief, or be it a psychic reading to help you find the right path for you in life. Okay. Now, here's one that a lot of people will resonate with. I've put number 4 as gaining clarity in relationships. Okay. I don't know how many readings that I've done for people over the years as go, is he going to marry me? Is she going to marry me? Is he going to come back? Is she going to come back? I get both sides of the relationships. Okay. So readings can give us insight into relationships. And relationships don't necessarily have to be romantic. We do have relationships, with family. We also have relationships with co-workers, neighbors, whatever it might be. So some people have difficulty with those relationships as well. But I would have to say that probably the highest percentage of people that I would deal with have issues with romantic relationships. Okay, to be fair. So, I have number 5 here as getting closure. Okay. So, I spoke a little bit about that in number 3, but it's finding a way to deal with something, especially death. Okay. Are they okay? Have they moved on to the other side? Have they, are they still sick? Are they still sore? If they left suddenly, did it hurt? Did they know that they were dying? Have they connected with my granddad in the spirit world? Do they have mammy with them? Did they meet my baby that I lost? Or, there's a million questions that roll around our heads. And I did a reading recently for somebody, and like the first sentence was all this person needed to know from their reading. I just said, when I connected, I said, okay, this person is here for you. Your spouse is here. And I'm going to use a different name, and I'm going to say, who's William? Because they want you to know that they're with William. Okay. That was the first thing this person's spouse said to me. And that was what the person had come for, because they wanted to know that these two people had connected in the spirit world and that they were together again. And don't we all want to know who was there to meet our loved one when they left? We want to know that they weren't on their own wandering around. Or we hear all these stories about people being caught between the earth and the spirit world, or they haven't moved on, or all this kind of, and I call it nonsense, excuse me, because none of it's true. Okay. But we do hear people telling all these stories, and it causes people sleepless nights. So please, guys, don't listen to any of that. Okay. So to get closure, to find out, and I've had people come to me looking for, where did they leave the life insurance documentation, or where's the deeds for the house. And God help us, I even helped a lady find her partner's suicide note because she wasn't able to find it. Okay. And we did find it. Okay. So, there's things that go unsaid or unfound. And, people can't move on without this information. So that's a huge reason why people will come to a medium for a reading. Okay. Get that closure that's needed. And as I say, that's where my motto comes from: help you move beyond the grief. Okay. Now, let's get one thing straight. I say move beyond grief. I should probably say move with it, because you will always grieve for the loss of that special someone. Okay. Whomever it is in your life. I don't believe time heals. I think that's a nonsense saying. I think time helps us to get used to the fact that they're not here anymore, but it doesn't get rid of our grief. We will always grieve for them. And I hear people say it even years after a death. Sometimes you still wake up and you've got that 20 seconds between sleep and awake where you're thinking, what's happening in the world? What day of the week is it? And then you remember so and so's gone. And then your whole world crushes down around you every day. Okay. I have a friend who lost her son to suicide, and it's just a few months. And every day she grieves. Okay. I hope that someday she'll be able to wake up and think, I'm here. My other children are here. But for the moment, that's not happening. Okay. Every morning her world comes crushing down around her. So, grief is hard. And I'm not going to belittle anybody's grief at any stage, but it might help you to get closure to some of the unfinished business that's left by someone's passing. Okay. Achieve release. Someone's saying to me, it's nearly like learning how to live a new life. It is. And especially if the person that you've lost is the core part of your life, like a spouse or a child, or even your parents, you have to find a new life without them. and it is a whole new life. And I can remember someone saying at a funeral to me once when they had lost their spouse, and they turned around and said to me, because everybody stayed for a drink and something to eat and everything, and then later in the evening everybody was starting to go home, and they said, "Oh, I need to go home. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do the other." And they turned and said to me, "I'm the only one here that doesn't have a life to go home to." you know and I said, "Well, you absolutely do have a life to go home to. It's a different life, it's a new life, and it's going to take you time to get used to it, but by God, you do still have a life." But yes, whoever made that comment is just so right. It's a brand new life. You need to find your feet again in a whole new world and learn to make these decisions without your loved ones. Okay. Now, that said, I did give a webinar. I don't know if anybody attended it, on how to get signs from your loved ones. Okay. And if you're interested, my website is sandiebyrne.com. I'm redoing one of the webinars that I did recently to help you introduce mediumship into your everyday life. And I did my August webinar was about getting clarity from signs, how to recognize the signs, how to ask all the signs, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But I do have another one, and I actually had I gave this webinar originally Sunday night just gone, and I had a lovely message. It's on my Facebook page from a lady who said on Tuesday morning, actually, she got the sign that she was hoping to get from her mother. And, I've always asked people, when you're asking for a sign from somebody, ask for something different. We all ask for robins, and we all ask for butterflies and stuff like that. And I was kind of putting the call out, and I said, do this in a different way. And she came back to me and she said that she did ask her mother for the sign of a robin. But what she actually got was, on Tuesday morning, one of her clients texted her a picture of a robin that they had just painted. Okay. So it was the robin, but it wasn't one in the garden. Okay. Because there's a lot of robins around maybe at this time of year. So she did get her sign of a robin. But I always say, try and have something, keep your mind open for something completely different. Anyway, come to the webinar Monday night at 10 o'clock Irish time. And the full details are on my website or my Facebook page. So I have number 6 down as achieve release. Okay. Connections with loved ones in spirit gives us comfort and strength to go on with our lives without feeling like we're leaving them behind. Okay. So that's what a lot of people feel, that by moving on with life, that that maybe meeting somebody new, that maybe having a happy, Christmas, or, having joy again in life, that it's disrespecting the loved one. And, you have to think, does your loved one, were they that horrible in life that they wouldn't want you to enjoy life? Because they don't become horrible just because they've died. Okay. So if you decide to go to Spain and sit on the beach for 2 weeks, they're not here crying because you're in Spain. They're there with you. Okay. So we just need to learn this, and sometimes to get the permission from our loved ones to know that it's okay for us to go on and enjoy life, that they are okay. Gain control I have down for number 7, and I only have 8, so I'm nearly finished. So I'm going to maybe move to some questions, and after that, I see people are asking questions. I just want to get through my points, and then I'll answer as many questions as you have. Okay. Gain control is number 7. To dispel the fear and uncertainty that the future holds. Wouldn't we all like a clear roadmap of where we're going in life? Then we'd know, and there'd be no fear. Okay. It gives you control. A reading gives you control because you know what's coming up and you can choose whether you want to accept it or not. The one thing that a reading will not do is allow you to only take happiness from life. Because if we only take the good from life, then we're missing out on a real life experience. And this is really important, guys, because you will not appreciate the highs if you have never experienced a low. So we'll never get the perfect life where we can just, say, I'm not taking anything bad. It's just all going to be good from now on. Okay. But it will give you control to choose which way you want to go. So I've done readings in the past. I'm trying to think of a real example. Okay. So I read for somebody whose partner had cheated in the past. Okay. And this person came for a reading. This person wanted to know, um, would they do it again, or was there a point in fighting for their relationship? And of course, the first thing that the cards told me was that they'd already done it in the past. Okay. Now, this person knew that, but that, you know, sometimes you need a validation like that to know that I am actually reading your energy. Okay. It wasn't just the first time this person's partner had cheated. This was one in a string of times. So I said to that person as I read the cards, it's not the first time and it will not be the last. But I said to them, you will stay with this person until, and I gave them a month, and I said it would be the last, either the third or fourth week of this particular month. And then you will be aware that they're cheating again. And that will be the last straw for you. Okay. So, that it happened. Okay. I'm not trying to blow my trumpet. I'm just saying, how the cards can give you control. So that person, that person was able to say, well, I'm not going to waste the next 4 months putting all my effort into this relationship, trying to make it work. If my partner is just going to cheat again, I want out now. Okay. So it gave the person the control. They weren't sitting there waiting for their partner to cheat. They weren't sitting there allowing their partner to make them look silly again. Okay. Cause these are things that don't stay within a household, not in Ireland anyway. And they were able to move on and get the closure that they needed something so that they would know this relationship is actually dead in the water, and it gave them the control to say, no, it stops today and I'm moving on without you. Okay, so it can give you control in situations like that. The last one, number 8, that I have down here, okay, is to get advice from our spirit guides. Okay. Now, our spirit guides are different to our guardian angels. Okay. So, from my experience, and I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Lorna Byrne. She's not, she is not a relative of mine. But I had this conversation with her in Limerick, and my belief is that spirits and spirit guides were once alive on earth, whereas angels are celestial beings. They were never actually human. They never actually lived on earth. Okay, so there is a difference between the two in my experience. Okay, she disagrees a little. She believes that angels and spirit guides are the same. I believe that they can give you the same advice, but they're not the same type of energy. Okay. So we can differ, but agree that we can get serious advice from both of these energies. Okay. So sometimes people come and what they need is a spiritual assessment. Okay. I try not to call it that. I call it a psychic reading, but sometimes I'm assessing people and I'm getting advice from their own spirit guides. What are they doing wrong? Where have they gone wrong? Why have things gone so wrong for them? Okay. So they come to us in life when we need them the most, and we can pass on messages from your spirit guides, psychic or medium. We can pass on messages from your spirit guides to give you guidance, to give you understanding, to help you through problems or crises in your life. Okay. So we do get a lot of help from our spirit guides. Okay. So there's 8 strong reasons, guys, why you would get a reading. Now, I would never force anybody to get a reading. I totally get that readings are not for everybody, and that's absolutely fine. Okay. You might not ever want to get a reading, but readings can be very helpful, and God help us poor psychics and mediums. We get an awful lot of stick from people saying that we take advantage of people and all the rest. But there's an awful lot to be had from having a reading. Okay. So I want to know, how did those 8 reasons resonate with you? Could you resonate with any of them? I'm taking this one out because it's consistently falling out of my ear, but I can't hear anybody yet. Now on what's this called, TikTok. I can't obviously bring anybody on live to ask a question live, but I've got a few people here on Podbean. So if anybody does want to come on and ask a question live, we can bring you on, so people will be able to hear you. But that's totally up to yourself. Okay. I can see the questions that you all type in. I can see you, Helen. You're saying it all makes sense. Thank you. Lovely feedback. Thank you. I can see the comments. A pack of crayons joined. Okay. So let's see. Is there, I wanted to come back because there was a few questions, okay, with regards, do we really see our family members again after we pass away? Okay, Peaky Blinders is asking this question on TikTok. We absolutely do. Okay, we have a different way of, we have a different kind of appearance when we go into spirit, but we absolutely do reconnect with our loved ones in the spirit world. And it's lovely when people come through and that they bring, say, maybe a lost child or a lost baby or something with them, or a mother comes through and she confirms that she has reconnected with her son, maybe that she lost, maybe he was a teenager. I remember a woman coming for a reading, and she'd come to connect with her mother who'd passed, but the first thing the mother said when she came through was, "Oh my God, we've got our, I'm going to use a different name, John, with us," or whatever. And poor John had drowned at the age of 14. And the mother spent all her life grieving over this son. And obviously, I didn't know that the lady had a brother in spirit either, but the mother came through and said it. So that to me was confirmation that she had reconnected with the young boy in the spirit world. Okay. Do the number patterns repeatedly see mean something? They do, Kelly, or they can. Okay. I mean, you can, sometimes see that it's 11 minutes past 22, past 10 o'clock at night or something. But generally in numerology, and it's kind of going into a different area, I also do numerology. But if you're to look at every number in numerology, I would say, I should call myself the logical psychic because I always say, be realistic. Okay. We could all look at a newspaper and see a pattern of numbers. I'm not saying that you do this, but like if you are consistently waking up at 11 minutes past 1 in the morning, every night, or something like that, then I would say there's probably something in it. But just to see a random number once, I probably wouldn't look too much into it. It depends what's going on for you in life. But generally, yes, we'd look at what those numbers mean, because every number has a different meaning. And when they're paired up, they have a different meaning again. So you'd have to look into that, into each one individually, and see exactly what's going on there. Okay. But the short answer to your question would have been yes, it does mean something. Okay. My birth mom passed before I got to meet her. Would she be able to guide me to find my birth dad? Obviously I can't say yes for sure until I connect with her. Okay. I have had people come into me when they've been researching their family tree. Okay. Sometimes we get the right answers. Sometimes we're there or abouts, and sometimes we don't get the right answers. It's not an exact science. Okay. I always say to people, it's not an exact science. You have to remember that and be fair. But I suppose the best one that I had, and I put a video on, it's on one of my videos on YouTube. I had a lady from New York who was researching her family history, which actually wasn't Irish, it was Italian. And I told her about this man, and I gave her what I thought was his name. So she went on all the information that I gave her and the description of him, and he talked about his sisters or something. And when she looked long enough, she actually found a picture of him. And the name that I'd given was actually the little town that he was from in Italy. And there was the picture of him was with these 2 or 3 sisters or something. And he was wearing the fedora hat that we described in the reading. So yes, sometimes we can get information through that helps somebody just put that little piece into the puzzle. But obviously I could never guarantee that. You can never guarantee what you're going to get in a reading. Okay. Sometimes you can get something that's really, really out there. You do find out if people are really somebody's child, or, you do find out that maybe, things happened in the family years ago that nobody living knew about, but sometimes it comes out in a reading, and, some really interesting stories, but I wouldn't share them without people's permission, but they can get really, really interesting stories. Can my loved ones see me visiting their graves? Of course, because they go with you. Okay. Um, your loved one, and I had this conversation actually with somebody today. I'll come back to the Helen. That's a good one. Your loved ones aren't in a house. They're not at a grave. They're with you. Okay. So if you go to visit them at the grave, they don't spend eternity sitting at the grave. Okay. It's not an exact science. It's not, no. And they don't spend eternity sitting at a grave. They're with you. So if you go to visit the grave, of course, they're going to be there to meet you. Okay. But they're not there all the time, but they know when you're going because you're thinking of it. Okay. And I'm sure this lady won't mind me telling you, but I was connecting with a lady's child who'd passed very young, and we changed the time a couple of times. She was actually traveling, and the changes had to be made. But at the time we were originally supposed to meet, I could actually feel this child. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, pet, we've changed the time." So, like, the child knew that we were due to meet at a certain time because she'd been telling him. But then something came up and we just needed to change the time. Okay. So, we had changed it. It was going to be an hour or 90 minutes later. So the child, he was a boy, he stayed with me for those 90 minutes and told me several things that had been going on for his mum since he's passed. So when I did connect with his mother, and I was able to say to her, well, look, you obviously had told him what time we were meeting today because he was here. And I started to tell her all the things that he told me, and she just couldn't believe it, that he still had some recognition of time. But she told him that. So when you're preparing to visit somebody's grave, you're going to maybe bring, I don't know, maybe some flowers. You're going to mentally prepare yourself to visit the grave. You're going to think about the person. So they're going to be very aware of this, okay? And they're there with you. So they go for that visit with you. They're not sitting there waiting for you, but they go with you, okay? Because you're going to visit them and they know you're coming to visit them. They can read your thoughts, okay? Because when you talk, is there anyone with me at the moment trying to give messages? Hey, Mairead, I haven't necessarily tried to connect with anybody just yet. I wanted to just maybe get through some of the questions first. Okay, so let's start with this. Have I ever helped solve a crime? No. Okay, and there's a simple answer for that, because I would never go to the guards and say, I think this or that or the other. Okay. I'm just not that kind of person. And I just don't want to leave myself open for that. And I just think, if somebody wanted help, they would come to me. And I have helped families that have approached me with regards to missing loved ones. Okay. So, have I been able to guide people to help find their loved ones? Yes. Okay, I've done that a few times. I don't want to give obviously any information because I don't want to upset the families more. But I have been asked by several families to help when a loved one has been missing. So I'd say to them, come along, and just before I get any negative comments, I've never charged for that. Okay. Because, I'd like to think that someday, God forbid, if I was in the same situation, that someone would help me. Okay. Helen saying, a lady told me this week that we should let our loved who have crossed rest. All the grieving and wanting to hear from them, they aren't able to rest in peace. If that lady doesn't want to contact her loved ones, that's fine. It's not for everybody. And, that's okay. Does it stop them progressing in the spirit world? No. It actually helps them too. We forget sometimes, okay? We forget sometimes that I'm leaning on my desk here and I'm very very aware that I might be flashing a little bit too much cleavage on my TikTok. But what was I going to say? Nothing will stop them, okay, moving. They have to grieve as well. So we often think of ourselves here and we think, oh, I've lost my mum, or I've lost my dad, or my Uncle Joe, or whatever it might be. Woe is me, okay? And we're entitled to that, don't get me wrong. I'm not belittling anybody. But do we ever stop and think, poor old Uncle Joe, he's lost me, he's lost my mum, he's lost my dad, he's lost his mum, he's lost his friends, he's lost his kids, he's lost his wife, he's lost the lads he used to work with, he lost his friends down the pub. Do we ever stop and think of what they've lost? We and the answer is no, because I don't, when I lose somebody, I don't think, God love them, they've lost things. I want them back because I'm selfish, and I want them here. So, but we do have to remember that they have to grieve as well, okay? And in the same way that you would go to a medium to get a reading to help you with that grief, they're also going to visit the medium to help them make a connection so they can deal with their grief. So can actually help them with the grieving process. But nothing ever stops. Look, I'm 47 years old. I don't mind telling you how old I am. I'm 47. I've been connecting with spirit all my life. Okay. It's just in the family. My grandmother was a medium. My great grandmother was a medium. My great great grandmother was a medium, and all back through the family. Okay. So yeah, they do. They have to grieve. And Helen's just saying that she never thought of it that way. Okay. So I don't know why people are looking to go live with me. Let me know if you have a question. Okay. So it's just saying this is grief advice. Okay. Who is this now? I figured this out last week about how I was going to get this person. No, I can't remember how I blocked this person. But anyway, look, just ignore them, because to be fair, this person is just looking for attention, and they may they're just looking for us to, let's see, the user. How can I block this user? No bio, no friends, no likes. Block. There you go. Confirm. Now, okay, blocked. I figured it out. Okay. Hey from County Galway, how are things? Okay, so I'm sorry, Helen. I'm on TikTok at the same time, and yeah, I shouldn't. I just shouldn't let these things get to me. So, the other thing now, somebody had asked a question there that I wanted to answer. Okay, so somebody said that they're having issues connecting with spirit. Do I have any advice? Okay, so the trolls exactly. I have a load of advice that I don't want to try and give you in the next kind of 15-20 minutes, because it does obviously take a little bit longer than that. If you have time on Monday, I'm going to be spending a full hour talking to people about 4 different ways that you can, kind of different practices that you can bring into your life on a daily basis, that's going to strengthen your connection with spirit and help make it easier for you. So if you go to my website, sandiebyrne.com, click on where in the menu, click where it says free webinar, and you can register there. It's completely free. Okay. And you'll be emailed the link then to join. Okay. And I will be going through some of that. Okay. So let's see. I saw another question. Do I have anybody with me now? I actually do have somebody with me now. Let me just see. I'm just trying to see. I did see a good question there. See, a lot of people were giving out to that poor person. Okay. You told me when I was going to lose my son. Did I? Oh my God, you must have hated me. Sometimes things like that come out in readings, and I don't even know that I'm saying it. And it's never something that I wanted to say to anybody. So I really do apologize for that. And sometimes maybe it gave you time to prepare. I don't know. Was that good or bad or indifferent? There's a good question. I'm going to talk about who I have with me now in a minute, Kate. Okay. Can I connect with animals? Okay. So yes. Okay. I love connecting with animals. So connecting with an animal is just the same as connecting with somebody who didn't speak English as a first language in life. That's all. Okay. So when I connect with spirit, for me, I'm clairvoyant and clairsentient. So that means I see and I feel the energy of spirit. Okay. But I don't hear them necessarily. Now I do hear sounds, and sometimes I hear people calling my voice, calling my name, should I say. But so when I'm connected with somebody, it's a lot about what I feel and the pictures that they show me. So I see things like they saw it through their eyes. So it's no different connecting with an animal. Okay. And I did think I was a little bit weird at first, I'll be honest with you. I thought I was imagining it when I was younger and I started to connect with animals. But yes, it's really possible. And they can show you such detail in their little messages that they bring through for their owners here. Okay. So, we need to grieve for animals in the same way that we grieve for family members. And as I said, when I lost one of my doggies last November, I said, I felt closer to the poor little dog than I felt to a lot of family members that I only see once, twice a year, because he was here with me every day. So we still grieve a lot for the dog. And I have a picture. I have one of those, what you call them, Amazon little things, little screen things, Alexa, that's what you call them. I couldn't think of her name. And I have pictures of him that flick up on the screen during the day. And then the other one, the girl that I still have, she generally sleeps in here in the office with me. If you're on my Instagram, you will see I put a picture up of her during the week. So my babies are my doggies. So who have I got with me here at the moment? Okay, so very quickly, I'm just have my cardigan because it's really hot in here now. I spent half the day cold in here, and then I get really, really hot later in the evening. So I have a gentleman with me. He's not that old, okay? He's only about, I would say, mid to late 30s. He has really dark hair, but he died very suddenly. There was something, he either had a bleed in the brain or he got some kind of trauma to the back of the head. And it's right behind his left ear, okay? So kind of at the back of the head, right behind his left ear. There's some kind of trauma or bleed there, and he died very, very quickly. Okay. And I do know that somebody still has his jacket. He keeps showing me a brown jacket that he used to wear. I think it might be a leather jacket that he used to wear when he was here and that he was alive. Dee is saying her son. Does it sound like your son, Dee? Just pop in there if you think that this person sounds like they might be somebody that you would know. Okay. Dee is saying her son. I see that, and she just said my son, and I was just wondering, were we on the same conversation? Does that sound like your son, Dee? Very much so. Okay. And he was in his mid to late 30s. Okay. And does it make sense, Dee, when I'm saying to you, this thing keeps popping up in my way, it's driving me mad. It doesn't make sense to you, Dee, when I say that that I feel that you still have a brown jacket that hey Michelle, I'm here. That he would have had a brown jacket, which I feel to me it looks like it may have been a leather jacket, and that you still have that, Dee. Does that make sense? Okay. And if this is your son also, Dee, I also want to say to you that he's telling me that that you seem to have had some stomach issues or something recently. Maybe something made you feel sick, or maybe you know what it feels like to me, almost like maybe butterflies in the stomach. You know, like when you're worried about something like this. You have all his clothes and you know the jacket. Okay, thank you. And he's trying to tell me that that he's been around you and that he knows that you've been worried about something or something like that. Okay, Polly wants to come in. Let's. Oh, can you send that again, Polly? Oh, sorry. I think when I was trying to let Polly come live, I think I knocked her out of the room. Sorry about that. I will let her come on live if she wants to. If she comes back in. Prove your psychic abilities. Rip the clip. You can leave if you wish. Okay. I'm not a circus donkey. Okay. And I'm not here to prove anything. I can provide evidence of things, but it's up to you if you want to believe. Okay. And I'm not here to force anybody or to make anybody believe anything. I would assume that people would only come into this room if they are interested in the subject matter. Okay. But Dee, could you just, oh, Lady Margaret, I'm so sorry to hear that. God bless you. Lady Margaret is saying to me that her baby passed 5 days ago. Good woman, you tell him. Thank you. So Dee, you might just confirm that there's been something going on around you, because he's telling me that he's been around you and that he wanted to provide you with some kind of support because of something that you've been worried about or anxious about just recently. Okay. And does somebody have a little boy here as well? It's like he's showing me a young boy. Okay, so I don't know, did he have a son of his own, or has there been a child that has arrived since his passing? Okay. So just for people that are saying, is there any others there, please, like there's loads of spirit here, but it's really, really difficult to connect with them when I don't. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I did win Medium of the Year. I have the award around here somewhere. It's around in this office somewhere. Oh, it's over there. It's really difficult to connect like this. So what I really need to see is, I'm trying to, even though I still haven't found my glasses, I'm trying to look maybe at somebody's profile picture, or even like when Dee gave me her name, which is obviously Dee, that I was able to try and connect with the oh, so Blue Box is saying that they went to a medium a few years ago and they wanted to connect with someone, but they didn't get the connection. Okay, so hold on. Yes, I ask every day to mind, does my readings with you. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dee. And I didn't mean to bring him up to upset you or anything, but just to know that he is around and he has been around you. So sometimes, you know, when somebody comes for a reading, then you might not necessarily get the person that they want. And I say to people, you know, with regards to reading, when people book, I send them out. Oh, you're fine, Polly. So if you wanted to come on, you could, but I thought I'd cut you off. But if you did want to come on live, no problem. Um, So what was I saying? Oh yeah, about not connecting with somebody. You know, when somebody books a reading, I send out a sheet, just some things to help you prepare for your reading. Okay, and it's important to pay attention to what's going on in life around you. So I always use this because it was a few years ago now when I first started doing readings publicly. You know, I did them for family and friends for many years. So before I went public with readings, when I first went public with readings, this lady came to see me and oh my gosh, she must have been here for nearly 2 hours. And I connected with every family member, aunts, uncles, grannies, great grandparents, you name them, neighbors, I connected with them all. But she was so upset because it was her mother that she wanted, and it was the one person that I hadn't connected with. And I said, well, I'm really sorry, but I do not feel your mother here. Okay, I just don't. I said, there must be something keeping the energy away. And she told me afterwards that her sister was actually at that time on life support in hospital. Okay. And the intention was to try me again in a couple of minutes, Chloe. The intention was to turn off the machine. Okay, they'd been told by the doctors that the machine needed to be turned off, that there was no brain activity. So she had come for her reading to connect with her mom to make sure that her mom was with her sister. So I said to her, are you a mother? And she said, I am. I have two children. And I said, if one of your children were on life support, where would you be? And then the penny dropped with her. And she said, I'd be with them, holding their hand. And I said, so where do you think your mum is? And she said, with my sister holding her hand. And I said to her, well, I said, that's where mum is, and that's why I'm not getting her energy tonight. I said, but you come back to me after the funeral. I said, and we will connect with them. So she came back after 10 days, and her mother and her sister came through together. So I always say to people, think of what's going on around you at that moment. Is it the right time for your loved one to come through? Okay. And then again, I also say to people, pick the right medium to connect with your loved one. Okay. So if you have a loved one in spirit who was really, really shy in life and never opened their mouth to strangers, why would you expect them to open their mouth to a medium who's a stranger? They've never met this medium before. Okay. So the medium is a stranger. Why would you expect them to do that? So going to a clairaudient medium, which is a medium that can hear somebody, isn't going to benefit you in that case. You're going to want to go to somebody who can feel their energy or who can see them. Okay. So if you go back, I think it was episode 2 or episode 3 on my podcast, lifeafterlife.podbean.com, or if you go to sandiebyrne.com, actually, I have a widget on there and you can listen to the podcast through there. And I explain all the different ways that mediums connect. And you will, picking the right medium for the right person. And it's funny too, when I do a stage show, okay, obviously we haven't done any in a long time because of the pandemic, but when I do a stage show, invariably I'm going to get someone coming up to me say, oh, I thought my dad would come through tonight. It's his birthday. Or I thought, my cousin would come through or whatever it might be. And I'd say to that person, well, I'm sorry, I can, only bring through who I feel or who shouts the loudest. But I'd say to them then, well, would your dad have got up on the stage in front of 100 or 200 people and said hello? And she said, oh God, no, he would never have spoken in front of, a group of people. And I said, well, why do you expect him to do it now? Just because he's died doesn't mean he's any more courageous. Okay, so he may not want to stand up on stage, so, you may need to get a one-to-one reading rather than going to a stage show to get a reading. And to be fair, when I'm on stage, there's no way I'm going to get through the audience. It's like when I see the messages going through here, there's no way I'm going to get to answer all those questions. So who's this? 6 years on and no one has been able to connect with my mum. Okay, let me just answer this question on Podbean first. Helen saying, we've lost a few family members recently and a friend a few days ago. That's tragic. My mum some time ago, would love to hear from them. Okay, Helen. It's really hard when I don't have anything to connect with. Helen, did your mother have something in her lungs? Did she have something like deep-rooted, like COPD or lung cancer or something like this? And I want to say, even though I feel it in my left side, it's not the heart that I'm feeling. It's definitely the lungs. Does that make sense to you, Helen? I'm trying not to block the microphone for the thing. Are you still with us? She had cancer, but was it in her lungs, Helen? Was that where she had the cancer, the main source of the cancer? Okay. And Helen, do you also have not originally, okay. Okay, let me just say this to you. And I know there's a girl here that was looking to connect with her mom too. I wonder, because I was trying to connect with her. Now her message is gone. Okay. I feel like I've got a mother here. Okay. I can't say that word. Metastasized. Is that right? I'm so bad. Okay. So listen on TikTok just in case this is yours. I have a mother here, okay, who I feel that had something deep rooted in the lungs. So whether it's COPD, TB, cancer, something like deep rooted in the lungs, and that this was the main cause of her passing. No, this isn't the kidneys, or it's not the back, Helen. This is definitely something with regards to the lungs. And this mother has a son in spirit with her. Okay. So this is someone who has her boy in spirit with her. Now, I don't feel that this son either was a baby when he died. Okay. I feel this son would have been maybe late 20s or early 30s when he passed away. Okay. Fiona Pepper said, my mother did COPD. And Fiona, do you have a brother that's in spirit with your mum? Okay. Okay, she had COPD and lung cancer. But do you have a brother also in spirit, Fiona? Because I know that this mother has her son with her. A nephew. Okay, I could be misreading the energy. Was her nephew apprentice Sandie Byrne? I don't know what that means. What was I going to say? Was her nephew, though, in his late 20s or early 30s when he passed? Does that make sense to you, Fiona? Okay. Oh, thank you, Polly. My love passed 3 months ago. Is he with me? Where else would he be, Mina? Okay, I can't see if she's telling me what age the nephew was. Is there a delay on this, I wonder? My hair is driving me mad. Misreading the easy way out by this. Oh, for God's sake, why do people bother coming into the room? Like, if there was a thing on about cars, I would not bother my backside going in there. Okay, confirm. Okay, so now we have another blocked. Okay. I know. Okay, so I can't see any answer from Fiona, so sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to have to go off. I'm very conscious that I do have people on Podbean, and I know Helen is asking. This definitely wasn't your mum, Helen, because this lady would have had something the um in the lungs. So I think I was connecting with somebody there on TikTok. Um, I honestly don't have anything because when I'm looking at your name, it's not even saying Helen, and there's no picture or anything. So maybe you might next time you come into the room, try typing your name into it or putting in a profile picture. So it gives me something to connect with. Okay. I know you might not want real names. You don't have to put like your full name. Maybe even just put down the Helen. Gives me something. How do I do that? And you know what? I have no idea. When you put your when you did your profile. So just go back into your profile in Podbean and you'll be able to amend it. Okay, same as you would with Facebook. And I'm going to have to go offline on Podbean now because I only get an hour. I'm only going to stay another 5 minutes on TikTok anyway because it's 11 p.m. here in Ireland and I have been reading all day. So, and I know it's that people really love to have the readings, but for me, I do so many of them that I do need a break sometimes. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for joining me on Podbean. I will put this up shortly, so people will be able to listen to the replay, and I will be live again next Wednesday night. So, guys, if there's any area of mediumship that you are curious about, don't be afraid to ask me the question because I'm quite happy to talk about any particular topic. But I think it's not helpful for everybody for me to just come on here and do an hour of readings. I love to be able to give people some kind of value as well. So I like to talk about something for the first part of the show. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I will see you on Podbean next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Irish time. And thanks for joining, Shay. Thank you for coming in, and you have a wonderful night too. Take care.
Discussing everything